to the Territory's leadership and the direction of the government. And I'm joined now by Country Liberal Party President, Suzanne Kavanagh. Well, Suzanne Kavanagh, the CLP has lost one of its greatest electoral assets in Marshall Perrin, hasn't it?
Yes, it certainly has, Genevieve.
What's he contributed to the party?
Well, apart to the party itself, he's been obviously been a long-standing member of great stature, but to the Northern Territory, more importantly, I think he's contributed an amazing amount over the 21 years of his parliamentary career.
Any specific things come to mind?
Yes, plenty of them, but specifically I could say that he was one of the main arbitrators in the Memorandum of Understanding when the Territory first got self-government. He negotiated our package with the Commonwealth Government of the day. He's been one of the major proponents of our push into Asia and actually signed the Memorandum of Understanding between the Northern Territory and Indonesia. And I think those, coupled with his integrity and the fact that he always puts the Territory first, has made him an outstanding politician anywhere in Australia.
Well, will this be a change in direction for the CLP? There's been suggestions of a more, less parochial approach, perhaps.
Well, I think Territorians generally are rather parochial, particularly those of us who have lived here for a long time. We've seen it come from the backwater that it was prior to the self-government to what it is today, and we're obviously extraordinarily proud of that. I don't really think that the government will be allowed to become too global. I think that Territorians by nature are probably fairly parochial, and I think that probably the government will still maintain its parochial attitude.
Well, Deputy Chief Minister Barry Coulter has ruled himself out of the running for the top job.
Yes.
Shane Stone's expected to take that position. Do you think he'll take the party in a different direction?
I think Shane will bring his own style if he's elected Chief Minister. That is yet to be decided, of course. But if he is, I'd say he'll bring his own style. But he still has a lot of the attributes that his predecessors have had, and that is a great commitment to the Territory. He has, I suppose, one of his outstanding attributes is his amazing energy and his capacity to get things done, and his will to get things done. But then that really doesn't make him any different to any of the others. The style might be slightly different, but I don't think he'll take us in a different direction, no.
What do you think will be different in the style of leadership?
Well, Shane by nature is a different individual to Marshall Perrin. And once again, we're preempting what will happen at their parliamentary party meeting on Friday, and that's really not it's not really a matter that the party president should be sort of debating at this stage. I'd say that whether Shane becomes becomes the parliamentary leader or not, irrespective of who does, I'd say that because we've had such strong, stable and reliable government in the last, well, particularly since the mid-80s, that will continue. I'd say that there wouldn't be any chance of that changing at this stage, no.
There's been some perception or some comment that Shane Stone is seen as arrogant. That'd be a pretty big liability, one would think.
Well, I don't consider that he is arrogant. I have heard that. I know him fairly well. He's a very strong person. He's got his own views, and perhaps sometimes he's a little bit forceful in the way that he presents them. But for people who really know him closely, he's not an arrogant person at all. He's a very sensitive sort of person, and I think that most people who know him well know that. I think, unfortunately for Shane, that in his parliamentary career in particular, he hasn't had portfolios where he has been able to show that other side of his nature.
And what about the seat of Fanny Bay? That was once held by the Labor Party, and you'll have lost the incumbency factor. How hard will it be to retain that seat?
Well, they have lost the incumbency factor, and Marshall has been the member there now for quite some years. But it's not a seat that the CLP can just sit back and say, well, that's ours. It's a seat that we're going to have to fight for, and but I'm fairly confident that we will win that seat, yes. And
do you have any candidates at the moment for that seat?
Well, we're calling for candidates. Our first ads will appear in the paper on Friday. But we already have quite a few expressions of interest that have come in even today since Marshall's resignation, of people who are actually obviously quite interested in having a go for that seat.
And overall, the party's had quite a blue-collar appeal up here. How important is it to retain that sort of appeal?
Well, the CLP has had that blue-collar appeal for the very reason is because we are such a broad-based party. Our membership actually reflects the Territory, which is it's a really broad cross-section of people in our party, and I think we reflect what's in our party is reflected right across the Territory.
We'll have to leave it there. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.